Our next period style historians refer to as the Orientalizing period, and this spans the most of the 7th century. Now the period Orientalizing, if you ever type this into your computer, your auto spell check is going to say that it's wrong, but it's not. Historians have given this period this term because what we see in art is that there is a heavier influence from the art of the East, specifically ancient Egypt and ancient Mesopotamia, which are located east of Greece. The word Orientalizing, it comes from the Greek Orion or Oritus. Now, oh gosh, I know I always say this, but I love words. So Orientalizing, Orion is Greek for east. More specifically, Orion is Greek for where the sun comes up, where the sun rises, the origin of the sun. It's a way of saying, where is east? Well, where's the sun coming up? Okay, that's east, Orion. So when we use the word Orientalizing, we're saying it is the Greeks looking to the east. It's also why we have the word orientation, where you want to reorient yourself. It's because think about like college orientation. You go on campus and then everybody's like, this is where the student union is. This is where the science building is. This is where the library is. This is where admin is. What they're doing is they're giving you a sense of direction. You're finding your east. You're orienting yourself. Okay, if that's east, that's west, north, south. That's admin building, that's library, that's cafeteria. Orientalizing, orientation, to reorient. Ah, so fun, so fun. I love it. Okay, so Orientalizing as a period. We call it this because we see the art of this period having heavy influences from the East. What do you mean, Miss Cortez? What I mean is they are starting to create art that we have seen similar variations of it in Egypt and in ancient Mesopotamia, like this artwork here. This is from, notice our period style, the Orientalizing period, and the title of this is called Mantiklos Apollo. He is a small bronze figure, and many of his body parts and accessories are missing. Oh, poor little guy. What we have is a bronze statue that was dedicated to the god Apollo by a man named Mantiklos. Did you hear what I said? A statue created and dedicated to a god. A votive offering. If you were thinking votive offering, give yourself a pat on the back, pause this video, and go have a treat, because that was amazing. So yes, same kind of practice of votive offerings that we saw in the ancient Mesopotamian world, we're seeing here with the fabrication of the Mantiklos Apollo. It was a figure made for the god, the Greek god Apollo, and it was dedicated by a man named Mantiklos. Now we know that because his dedication is written here on these little beefy thighs. Also, the fact that this is a figure, he's got shoulders, arms, little waist, big thick thighs, extremely long neck, yeah, I know. But the fact that it is a figure indicates influence from Egypt and from Mesopotamia, where they're carving these beautiful figures all the time. This influence from the East, from the Orient, is because they have a more stabilized system of government and increased economic trade. So the trade is happening again. So they're starting to see and to exchange ideas and techniques and art and technology, okay? So this beautiful statue here, what he's missing is his right arm. There's a hole here in his hand, which indicates he must have been holding something cylindrical. He's got holes in his eyes where there must have been some kind of a stone inlaid to create a more lifelike appearance. And then this hole in the center must have been where something was pushed in and like bracketed, maybe a helmet. That's why his hair is so smooth. And maybe there was some kind of a piece, like a hat, a helmet that would be on top of his head. And then his legs have broken at the knees. Okay, so this little bronze figure here, the dedication or the inscription has been carved into the thighs, and it's written in ancient Greek, which thankfully we can read, and it reads, "Mantiklos dedicated me as a gift to the far-shooting lord of the silver bow. You, Apollo, might give some pleasing favor in return." Did you hear what I just said? Mantiklos dedicated me as a gift to the far-shooting lord of the silver bow. You, Apollo, might give some pleasing favor in return. What this is a bronze figure of the Greek god Apollo. And Mantiklos is spending lots of money on this as a gift to him in exchange for something from Apollo. The last words, some pleasing favor in return. I give you this. You like it? Maybe you give me something in return. Because the ancient Greek mythology is so prevalent in the Western world, I do want to address it before we continue with art. The ancient Greeks practiced a faith, a polytheistic faith. Poly means many. Theos is gods. Now, it's often referred to simply as the Olympian polytheism. The Greeks believed in many gods and goddesses who lived on the sacred mountain of Olympus. Their gods were immortal beings who possessed supernatural powers and highly interactive in human lives. This here is just a rough sketch of the major gods and goddesses in ancient mythology, but there are hundreds of others, and you can find out more about them in your textbook, or you can email me and I can give you some more resources about ancient mythology. In this class, we won't get to delve too deep into it, but we will be talking about a few Greek myths as they relate to the artworks, and a few Greek gods as they relate to the artworks, such as Apollo. So we think that this is supposed to be a portrait of Apollo. Who is Apollo? Apollo is known as a god of light and music and the arts. His attributes, so visual indications of who he is, are sun rays and a silver bow. And his lineage is that he is the son of Zeus, who was the king of the gods. We believe this to be a portrait of Apollo. Now, as I said, Apollo's attributes are sun rays. Maybe that post indicated a crown of golden sun rays that would have been put on him. He's also got that hole in his hand, and maybe that is where he would have held his silver bow. In fact, Mantiklos even mentions it in his dedication, right? He says, the far-shooting lord of the silver bow. So maybe there was a silver bow that would have been in this hand, and then maybe a crown of sun rays on his head. Isn't that beautiful? I know. It's really silly how he's got this crazy long neck. The proportions of his body are extremely inaccurate. Got it. But there is an attempt to make this figure more human-like, or more, not human-like, natural. Notice the attention to the hair. He's got these ringlets of curly hair, and they fall down to his shoulders, right? His long, glorious hair. And then the artist, well, not giving very much mass, has given us a sense of anatomy by carving into the chest some pecs, a little six-pack going on there. Oh, we know it's a male. He's got a penis. And then he's got those juicy thighs, right? Here, look at him from the side. He's got this, big bubble butt. So we have, okay, yeah, not correct anatomy, but we have an attempt at indicating musculature in the form. This is also helpful in helping us understand the relationship that people have with their gods, because these gods are, while they are immortal and visually they are supposed to be the most stunning, most beautiful. Let me go back up here again. Here we are. Well, the Greeks believe that their gods are immortal, which means they cannot die. They also believe that their gods are the most beautiful physical specimens for men and women. So, like, imagine the most beautiful guys, those are the gods. Imagine the most beautiful girls, those are the goddesses. So they are physically perfect and stunning, but they also have human flaws. They can be jealous, they can be petty, they can fall in love, they can fall out of love, they can be happy, they can be celebratory, they can be angry, they can be mean, they can be evil. And so this balance of the perfection of their physical forms is, or I should say, the idea of the concept of their immortality and their perfection is balanced by their, well, very human-like behaviors, right? And this relationship with humans can be affected by your interactions with them. You don't want to make them mad. You don't want to make them jealous. You don't want to make them upset with you. And their use, or people's use of these offerings, can be seen as like a contractual arrangement with the god or goddess. You like this? I give you this. Or maybe they answered a prayer, and so you have to return the favor by then giving them something of your own. So these types of votive offerings are something that we're going to see occurring again and again in this class, as it is an expression of your relationship with the gods and goddesses. And, you give me a little of that, I give you a little of this, we'll see how it goes. It's very different than what many people are familiar with in terms of a faith that there is one overarching God who is a benevolent ruler over everyone. It's very different than a religion that has a specific set of rules or doctrines. What we find in the Greek world is that there are basic ideas and agreed upon origin stories and behaviors of these figures, but the everyday worship of an individual to a god or goddess can be varied, and that's not seen as a bad thing or incorrect. I know I'm going off on another tangent, aren't I? Okay, if you want to know more about ancient Greek religion, let me know. Email me. Bye.